Buenas noches. Viva Cristo Rey.
¡Que viva!
All right. Era el grito, la guerra de los católicos perseguidos durante el levantamiento cristiano en México, ¿sí? Y en otros países, España, en otros países. En México, en 100 años pasado, 1920s, Viva Cristo Rey fue la declaración antes de morir del beato Miguel Pro, el joven sacerdote jesuita, quien repetidamente evadió las autoridades anticatólicas en México. Viva Cristo Rey también fueron las últimas palabras del beato José Sánchez del Río, el niño de 14 años, asesinado por el gobierno socialista en México. Mientras celebramos la fiesta de Cristo Rey, la Iglesia nos recuerda que nosotros pertenecemos al reino de Jesucristo, extendido en tiempo, la Iglesia Católica Romana. Pocos de nosotros hemos vivido en un reinado. Muchos de nosotros solo conocemos la democracia, el socialismo o tiranía. Algunos de ustedes, a lo mejor, han huido de gobiernos tiranos anticatólicos. Sin embargo, la Iglesia de Jesucristo es un reino, el reino más perfecto, porque su Rey es el todo amor, todo justicia, todo misericordioso y todopoderoso Dios. La Iglesia de Jesucristo enseña con la autoridad que Jesús le dio a los apóstoles cuando fundó su iglesia sobre Pedro y los apóstoles. Tú eres roca, y sobre esta roca edificaré mi iglesia. Las puertas del infierno no prevalecerán ante ella. Yo te daré las llaves de mi reino. Todo lo que ates en la tierra quedará atado en el cielo, y todo lo que desates en la tierra quedará desatado en el cielo. Una de las razones por la que los establecimientos liberales en los medios de comunicación, la industria del entretenimiento y los políticos atacan y se esfuerzan por debilitar la Iglesia Católica. Es porque ella enseña verdad absoluta. Ella declara infaliblemente que ciertos actos son siempre correctos o que ciertos actos siempre son malos. Siempre es bueno creer y adorar a Dios. Siempre es malo quitarle la vida a un bebé no nacido. Muchos en nuestra sociedad han permitido que la idea de democracia infecte su entendimiento de la verdad y como resultado la bondad. El Papa Benedicto XVI lo llamó dictadura de relevantismo. No hay verdad. La verdad puede ser algo correcto y bueno para alguien y malo e incorrecto para otra persona. Por ejemplo, el matrimonio entre dos personas del mismo sexo. Por un ejemplo. En el reino de Jesucristo, la opinión de uno o el voto de la mayoría no declara o cambia la verdad. No es posible. La verdad es la verdad. La verdad, por definición, no puede cambiar. Por definición, la verdad es lo que está de acuerdo con la realidad. Dios existe. Es una declaración verdadera porque Dios es real. Él es la realidad misma. Él le da su existencia a todo lo que existe. Es similar a decir que 2 más 2 siempre es 4. También es verdad decir que una persona es creado por Dios como un hombre o una mujer sin cambio. Su alma siempre es masculina o femenina, lo cual determina el género de uno. Ok, es la verdad. Nosotros estamos llamados a vivir el mundo sin pertenecer al mundo. Nosotros somos fieles ciudadanos aquí en la tierra. Y aún así, primero y más importante, fieles a Dios y sus enseñanzas. Ojalá que podamos decir como San Tomás More en England, antes de ser ejecutado por el rey Enrique VIII en 1534. Yo muero como el buen sirviente del rey, pero Dios es primero. Viva Cristo Rey. So a few words in English. Today is Christ the King, feast day established in 1925 by Pope Pius XI, when the last king of Europe died. That was the Emperor of Austria-Hungary. His name was Charles. His name is Blessed Charles. He's a saint. Right? Such a holy man. He died at a young age. He suffered much in Europe, and he had his kingdom stolen from him by 3 major powers, one of them being the United States. But he was the last one in England and in Europe. So in 1925, Pope Pius XI established this feast of Christ the King. Why? Well, few of us have been able to live in a monarchy, in a kingdom. We're used to maybe a democracy or something like a democracy. In some places, it's socialism. Some places, it's a tyranny. And some of you, unfortunately, have experienced that. And you can see better than maybe some of us who've grown up in America some of the things that are going on in America now, maybe more clearly than we can. But when we look at this phrase, Viva Cristo Rey, long live Christ the King, it's one that's been uttered by saints for centuries. And the 2 that I mentioned here were both from Mexico. Because in the 1920s, the communists in Mexico killed many, many priests and religious and Catholics. We know that. That was the Cristero War. Many saints, but I just mentioned 2. Blessed Miguel Pro was a young Jesuit priest who was a master of disguises. He was the last priest left in Mexico City. giving the sacraments to the people until he finally got caught and got killed. And you can still go to Mexico City and go to his shrine and see all the pictures of him like this as he's getting shot. The government took pictures of it, thinking that they could plaster it all over the city, and somehow this would be would undermine the faith. Actually, he had 1 million people at his funeral. And then, Blessed Jose Sanchez del Rio, who was only 14 years old, who was told right before he died, just give up your faith and we won't kill you. Remember, they had sliced the soles of his feet off and made him walk on salt and gravel to his throne, to his grave, and dig his own grave. And his uncle was right there, the mayor. And what did he respond? He said, Viva Cristo Rey. And they killed him. 14-year-old. Incredible faith. He understood who his king was. It's Christ the King. He's my king. As Catholics, we live in a kingdom. The kingdom of Christ the King. Here on earth, heaven extended in time in the Catholic Church. The church that Jesus Christ founded upon Peter and the apostles. Thou art rock, and upon this rock I will build my church. The gates of hell will never prevail against it. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. And there are those who would like to change truth. The church is here to actually always teach the truth. And why do those of the secular mindset, why do they get upset with the Catholic Church and always seem like they attack us? It doesn't matter what country. Okay? In the press right now, it's been the last, 30 years, 40 years, kind of the acceptable persecution, prejudice against the Catholics. I mean, just look at it. It's always against the Catholics. It seems like it's almost always against the Catholic Church in the most of the press, the major press, because they don't like how the church stands absolute when she teaches the truth. Marriage is all between a man and woman. You're either male or female. You can't kill an unborn baby. The church says this absolutely. And they want to have a conversation. They want to influence our decisions and change our minds. Like, actually, opinion doesn't matter in Christ's kingdom because he is the truth, and the truth never changes. If it can change, it's not the truth. So by definition, truth is what is in accord with reality. This is marble. That's a true statement. This is wood. It's not a true statement. It's not in accord with reality. So truth is always in accord with reality. 2 + 2 is 4. True statement. Always the case. Always the case. Okay? So when we think of Christ the King, we think of his church, which is his kingdom extended in time. And it's a reminder for us that we live as a part of a kingdom. So even though we may have polls of opinion and what people believe, okay, but that doesn't change Christ and his teaching and what's true. All right? It's unfortunate when people get caught up in that. But it just shows us that we need to work all the harder to bring his truth to bear to others. Okay? So it can be free, ultimately. So it's, it's just and Benedict XVI, I quote here, he called it the dictatorship of relativism. What does he mean by the dictatorship of relativism? It's where there's no real truth. Your opinion is good as mine. You may think something is good. It's a sin. Objectively, it's not good for him. But, hey, it's what you think is good. Okay, who am I to tell you? That's the dictatorship of relativism. But it's a contradiction. Because its premise, its foundation is what? There is no truth. Well, that's an absolute statement, isn't it? There is no truth? Hold on, you just made an absolute statement. That's a total contradiction. And that's what much of our society, when it comes to public opinion, is based on. So it's really good for us to have a understanding here, and then always to realize, that we are members of Christ's kingdom. And to keep our focus on heaven. There's a lot the devil is wanting to do right now in our society to change, just to keep us distracted, to be afraid, to be sad. A lot going on around us, okay? Whether it's the COVID, whether it's the election, whatever it is. I've got to be a saint today. You have to be a saint today. When God asks us on Judgment Day, why weren't you a saint that day? We're not going to be able to say it's because of the election or it's because of COVID. No way. I gave you the grace for that day, and let's not be distracted then by what the devil is trying to do around us. My focus should be on Jesus Christ, because he's my king, and he loves me and died for me. He's going to give me all the grace I need today to get to heaven in my vocation, husband, wife, mom and dad, brother, sister, son, or daughter. Okay? So like Blessed Jose Sanchez del Rio, like Blessed Miguel Pro, like so many before us, yes, we do say, long live Christ the King. Viva Cristo Rey.